Hey, welcome to the Killer Bee Studios. Welcome back if you've been here before for the Patreon channel. Today we're going to be drawing a deer in graphite, and this is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to we're going to delve into some fur and some textures. Let me give you a little idea of what this looks like. There's a lot of texture here, a lot of fur, ears, eyes, nose, mouth. We're going to have fun with the background by putting in some graphite from compressed graphite. We're going to be using a paper stump, may create some of these really cool trees back here, and if we have time we may take out some of that snow. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So let's get started. Hey, welcome back, and this is going to be a really great little drawing. It's a little 8x10, so it shouldn't take much time. I'm actually going to be using like 4 pencils and an eraser. 2 erasers actually. I'm going to be using the Tombow Mono Knock, and I'm going to be using the Faber-Castell Perfections 7058. And I'm going to try to do this whole entire drawing with just 4 Caran D'Ache Grafwoods, and the grades are going to be B, HB, H, and 3B. So this ought to be fun and quick. Let's start out by looking at our reference picture real quick. Well, not me. So here's our reference picture, and this is going to be a lot of fun. Look at all that fur. There's quite a lot of fur here, and it's only going to go down so far, but look at those antlers. There's lots of texture in there, lots of straight lines, lots of circles, and we're just going to be using these awesome Caran D'Ache Grafwood pencils in just 4 pencil leads. This is going to be so cool. So let's head back over to the line drawing real quick and see where we can start. We're going to start probably here in the middle. Why not? Let's do it. So usually with pencils I go light to dark, and my lightest pencil is going to be an H. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so y'all can see how short my strokes are. Tiny little strokes. Definitely want to pay attention to the direction that the hair grows. This is so important to get. And remember, this is a small picture, so the pencil strokes have to be really small as well. If you draw long lines on a small animal, lines representing the hair, it's not going to be believable. So you got to keep them pretty short. In perspective to the deer itself. So I'm just going to loosen up, have fun. I'm going to actually switch to an HB because I feel like that value and that hair just at the area where the horn grows out of the head is just a little bit darker, and it gets a little lighter here in this area. So we're just going to start with an HB. Let's draw and let's have fun. Give it a little smooth with your finger if you want. I am not going to be using a paper stump on any of this drawing at all. Give this a little bit of a sharpen. Yeah, so this little deer horn here definitely has a pattern to it. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the pencil strokes that I'm using. And I'm using a B pencil. And for the lighter areas, I'm going to switch to an HB. So I can use little circles here on that darker side. And then really lighten up the pressure on the light side. So small strokes and small circles make texture in deer horns. Yeah, the hairs are getting a little bit more noticeable right below the eyelid. This area is pretty light. I'm starting to lay down the H pencil first before any of the other pencils as I get down into the nose area. So that kind of gives me a nice little foundation. And then I come back in with HB for the midtones, and then B and 3B for the dark areas. Got to look for these shapes here, like this one above and to the right of the eye. Also, what I was doing before with this eraser is I'm kind of skimming over some of this fur. I don't know why, I just kind of like it. I like the fact that it kind of smooths. Not too terribly smooth, but kind of smooths some of this fur out. Kind of pushes down the white of the paper. Now if I want to pull something out, I'm going to pull it out with my Mono Knock. Seems like there's little tufts of hair kind of in the forehead. Don't worry, if you take out too much, you can always put it back. These erasers are amazing to really create lots of texture. I use mine in all kinds of different directions according to the way the fur is growing. Kind of really defines those dark areas. And of course I've got my eraser cut. So I'm going to go back to my HB. I'm actually going to be putting in a little bit of the background because I feel like I need a lot more value to judge what's going on in the deer horns here. I feel like I am gonna get them lost in the background, so I'm just kind of adjusting a few things here. So I'm using my pencil to put in the values. Some of this is getting a little bit lost, so I'm gonna have to be careful about what I'm doing as far as sticking in the value in the deer horns here, as opposed to the background. Obviously the values really shift quite a bit. So I gotta be careful. I'm using an HB pencil, just in case you needed to know that. I use HB quite a lot. And the darker that I want it, I'm gonna push a little harder. So that's gonna really push the deer forward quite a bit. I don't want a lot of soft lines, I want some hard lines, especially here. It's really important. I am going to be using a little bit of this Art Graph compressed graphite, which is water soluble. I love this stuff. It works great when you're using a paper stump, which I mark as a medium. I have light, medium, and dark. And this is probably the only time that I use any kind of paper stump, because I don't use them in my portraits ever. So now you can see that the deer horn is being pushed forward quite a bit. But I'm going to soften the edges with the paper stump here. Really make it blurry. You can use a tortillon too if you want to get into those tight areas. The best advice I can give you to see value is to squint. My rule of thumb is squint to see value and open your eyes to see color. I have saved the nose for later, just in case you were wondering. I think the background values were kind of itching at me to really pop that in there. I can use an HB pencil so incredibly light that it looks like an H. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing all of those branches because those branches can be a little crazy. Sorry about that. We're going to do as many as possible and as little as possible. Okay, I'm going to get ready to do the ear now. So I'm going to start with the H pencil and I'm going to come into the lightest values. Remember to keep going with the direction of the hair, the way it grows. We've got some dark areas here that I didn't mean for it to get too dark or that far. So I'm just going to pull that out. So this will be your lightest value. Kind of work all of those light areas. And the areas that I'm talking about are here. Now I am going to take my mono kind of skim over that just to lighten it up a little and take out some bunches. So that lightened it up pretty good. Just the value that I wanted. If you want to give it a little more tone, you can just skim over it a little bit with your finger. Okay, now I'm going to take my HB pencil and do the midtones. Let's take a look at those midtones real quick. These areas here. I'm going to move this camera over just a tad bit. That way my thumb's not always in the way. Give it a bit of a smooth. Now I'm just going to go in with a little bit more pressure in a couple of these areas. Same pencil, HB. This is kind of like negative drawing. And now I'm going to switch to a 3B. And I'm really going to push those darks. I could actually take a magic rub eraser and smooth out these pencil strokes. It's kind of a thing with me. I don't like them real hard or harsh. But this is such a small drawing. Not sure if that eraser would actually fit. Or I could cut it down and let's see if we can find a magic rub that might be able to smooth some of those pencil strokes down. Just do it really carefully. Because that hair in the ear looks pretty soft. So I'm just pushing enough so that it's not erasing. But it's smoothing the pencil strokes, keeping them from being too harsh, scratchy looking. Now that looks softer. So then I'm going to take my razor and I'm going to cut my mono down just a little bit, about that much. You could use a mono 0 instead. That would probably be a better idea. The mono 0 is the little one. It's got a tinier edge on it. You can cut that at a little bit of an angle. Cut that much off. Zoom out just a tad bit. With a 3B pencil, it's a little harder to pull out the graphite. So dark. And for some reason this is pushing back in. Now I'm going to switch back to the mono knock. Take a little bit more here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my HB pencil and kind of reshape a couple of things. Push some values a little more. That should pop a lot of the hair. Go up along the edge here. Sort of put in that background a little so I can see the value. I like to be able to set my value guide a little bit by putting in the background a little so I can judge how dark to go. Making sure that this value is lighter, just a smidge on the edge than this value. And that kind of sets up nicely. Now I'll come in and clean this up a little bit, straighten out the lines. On the inside and the outside. Make some of that line disappear just a little bit. Make it so it's not so light. And just adjust this value a little bit more. Pull out a few more little hairs. Go in the opposite direction so they look smaller. It's fun to work with the erasers a lot. They do create some really nice textures. And I'll go back to my 3B. Push some of my darkest darks. Wow, look at those midtones show up. that should do it for the ear.